Okay, so if you can't seem to chat in a question, let's see. I am putting my email address in the chat. I don't know if you can see it. I'm hoping you can. So please wait 9 seconds. So there's a 9-second delay. So if you want to just email me your questions, I know it's a pain, but if you want to email them to me, then I can read them from the email and do it that way. I don't have any other solution. The only one that has been able to sign on since I went on the second time is Sinan. So there's 25 of you out there. So let's see. I did get a question from Manasvi. Excuse me. So what would be the answer for how is cellular respiration equation related to the photosynthesis equation? They are flipped. So if you take, and Manasvi, if you remember my the activity on Friday, I'm trying to multitask and I'm really bad at it. I'm just trying to respond. If you remember the activity that we did on Friday, where we made the equation for photosynthesis on one side, and then using the same number of molecules, we did it on the other side, and they were equal. And then you just flip it the other way for photosynthesis. So the answer to the question would be that they are, the equations are opposite, except I was going to write it down. Let's see. So 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O yields. So that's the first, that's the front side of, those are the reactants of photosynthesis. Okay. And don't forget the sun, because it can't happen, it's backwards. It can't happen without the sun, okay? And that yields C6H12O6 plus 6O2. So that is these are the products. All right, so that is carbon dioxide, and this is water, and this is glucose, and oxygen. Okay, so this is glucose. So glucose is plant food, and then oxygen is a waste product of photosynthesis, which is why that works for us, because we breathe oxygen. And then if you do, it's going to be easier in person tomorrow, but I'm going to do it anyway. Then C6H12O6 plus 6O2. So these are the reactants for cellular respiration. So if you look at that, hang on, and you look at that, can you see? They're the same thing. See that? So these are the products. Oh, that light's bad. Wait. The light is, hang on. So the products of photosynthesis here are the reactants of cellular respiration here. Same thing, see? So you would say the products of photosynthesis are the reactants of cellular respiration, and the reactants of cellular respiration are the products of photosynthesis. They're just flipped. The only difference is you take out the sun for cellular respiration and add ATP as a product. So how are they related? You would say the equations are flipped and both make energy. Photosynthesis for the plant, cellular respiration for the animal. So that should be a good answer. Sinan, I'm glad the Bozeman Science videos helped. That guy is good. Let's see. Yep, Siddharth, I will give you. I asked you. You said you didn't get the CK12 paper, but I asked you when I gave you your quiz back if you had it, and you said you did. So you'll have to wait till after the broadcast, and I'll load it onto Schoology. So let's see. I am seeing if there are any other questions. So let's see. All right. Rohan, I don't know what to tell you about how to get it to stop asking about. I mean, if you made an account already, Rohan, then it shouldn't be asking for Facebook login. It's asking about Facebook because it wants you to make an account. So I don't know what to tell you to do with that. I apologize. So let's see, questions. Here's another one. Okay, what is aerobic respiration? So when you take aerobics, or when you're doing aerobics, you are raising your heart rate. So that's the same as saying cardio. All right, so cardio is like doing aerobics. So cardio means your heart, all right? Cardiovascular system is your heart and your arteries and your veins. So aerobic respiration is the same as when you do cardio. You're raising your heart rate. When you raise your heart rate, you need oxygen. So aerobic respiration is cellular respiration. It is the making of energy using oxygen, which is what cellular respiration is. But if you'll recall, and I'm not sure that if in Miss Aguirre's class and Miss Stokes' class, they talked about fermentation. But fermentation is anaerobic, A-N-aerobic. That means without oxygen. So there are times when you have to exercise and you aren't able to give your body all the oxygen that it needs. In those cases, your body will still perform for a while, not indefinitely, will perform for a while, but you'll have to pay a price. And that price is lactic acid in your muscles. So lactic acid fermentation is when you don't have enough oxygen to make energy for your muscles, and lactic acid builds up in your sore. So almost everybody has experienced that situation. All right, great. So Nathan, glad to have you. I'm glad you're there. Please feel free to ask questions. That's awesome. Okay, so just make sure, like I said, make sure that you just email the questions in. So I'm gonna ask, I'm distracted even more than usual because I keep getting emails instead of chats, so it's distracting. Okay. So an ad came on the screen, of course, when I answered that aerobic question. So aerobic means with oxygen. And, Jefferson's in, awesome. Aerobic means with oxygen. So anaerobic means without oxygen. So there was a question that just came in, what is lactic acid? Lactic acid builds up in your muscles if you are exercising and you don't have enough oxygen. So you exercise and your heart rate rises, and your heart rate rises because your body needs more oxygen. Because your heart pumps your blood, and your blood is what provides your body with oxygen. It's like a little shuttle bus, and it carries the oxygen around your body. But if you're not able to give it enough oxygen, your body will try to perform. It'll try to give you the energy that it needs, that your body needs, but a side effect of not having enough oxygen is lactic acid, and lactic acid is literally an acid in your muscles that makes you sore. And the best thing you can do, even though it's the last thing you feel like doing, is to exercise or to stretch at least. So, you know, when a sponge fills up with water, the best way to get the water out of the sponge is to squeeze the sponge. You could leave it on the counter and let it evaporate. It's gross and smells yucky. But it'll eventually happen. Same with your muscles. If you just leave your muscles alone, the lactic acid will eventually go away. But the best way to get it to go away faster is to squeeze your muscles. And that's when you do. When you flex your muscles, you're squeezing it. And that gets rid of the lactic acid. Okay, question, autotroph and heterotroph. Okay, so autotroph is a plant, and heterotroph is an animal. So I'm going to write this down, because if you don't have this in your notes, you should write it down. So animals are heterotrophs, and hetero means different, okay? So in other words, animals have to eat different things in order to survive. An animal is also a consumer, and you probably remember that from like 5th grade science. And then a plant is an autotroph, and auto means like automatically, or actually means like self, and then it is a producer. So animals can make their own food. If you don't have that in your notes, you should write it down, okay? So animals can make their own, no, animals cannot make their own food. This is talking into a mirror. There we go. Animals can't make their own food, so they are heterotrophs, and they have to consume plants or animals. Plants can make their own food, so the prefix auto means self, and then they are producers. They make food for other things, and well, for themselves. Okay, let's see. Will autotroph and heterotroph be on the test? Yes, it will. Dylan asked that question. Yes, it will. And I just explained it, Dylan. So if you're still not sure, just because I just explained it, but there's a delay in the chat. So if you didn't get it, just ask and I'll explain it again. Let's see. I want to see if I didn't miss any. So carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is literally, a cycle is usually, you know, something that is circular. So like a circle, okay? It's like a circle. So the carbon cycle is how you eat something, then you get rid of it, goes into the ground, goes into a plant, something eats the plant, then you eat the something, whether it's a cow or whatever, and then you get the carbon, and then it goes back into the ground. So it's this giant cycle. Hang on one second. There is a hang on one second. There is a great graphic that I am going to see if I can screen share. So bear with me for a minute. All right. Switch to teacher version. Yes, please. Where is the search box? Oh my goodness. Come on now. There we go. Search. My goodness gracious. Carbon cycle. Oh no. No, I didn't want that. Oh. Hang on. Carbon cycle. Because I'm looking up what you should have done as one of your stations, and carbon cycle was in that, as you'll recall. So I want to give you exactly what the reading said. So that was photosynthesis. Oh. So the CK12 was connecting cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Okay, there it is. Let's see. So the carbon cycle. Okay, so cellular respiration and photosynthesis are important parts of the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is pathways through which carbon is recycled in the biosphere. So what is the biosphere? Hopefully you looked that up because it's in some of the reading that you were supposed to do. So describes the part of the earth, including the air, land, surface, rocks, and water where life is found. So that's the definition of biosphere. Let's see. While cellular respiration releases carbon dioxide into the environment, photosynthesis pulls carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. The exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen during photosynthesis and cellular respiration worldwide helps to keep atmospheric oxygen and carbon dioxide at stable levels. Okay, so that is a fancy way of saying cellular respiration uses oxygen. Photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide. So because they use what the other one needs, there's a constant consumption and creation. So cellular respiration makes the waste product is carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide, release oxygen. Animals take in oxygen, release carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide, release oxygen. So it's this constant cycle where if you didn't have something taking in all the carbon dioxide that animals got rid of, then there would be a really, really high level of carbon dioxide, but that's not the case. If we didn't have animals to take in the oxygen, then there would be a really high level of oxygen, and that's not the case. So that's a better definition of the carbon cycle. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, so that was carbon cycle. Let's see, how, nope, that wasn't it. How do the levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen stay in equilibrium around the world? That's what I just explained. So cellular respiration makes carbon dioxide and photosynthesis makes oxygen. And we just take it in and get rid of it. Plants take it in and get rid of it, and it just goes on and on. So there's a question, what do you think our third period honors class needs to study the most? You need to study the study guide. I'm not going to, the study guide is what's on the test. There are only 18 questions on the study guide. So it is much easier than a lot of major exams. Is anything from the cells part of this semester going to be on the test? All right, the question is there anything from the cells part of this semester that's going to be on the test? Well, if you did the review, the review lists all the parts of the cell that we covered. I think there were 10, and asks their structure and function, and if location plays a role. So, yeah, that's going to be on there. That if you did the review, then you should know that. Everything on the review is on the test. There's nothing on the test that's not on the review. But you need to know the entire review. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells is going to be on the test. Well, you need to know the difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. No. Prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus, eukaryotic cells do. Prokaryotic cells don't have membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cells do. But don't, you guys have to do the review in order to do well on the test. let's see, I'm making sure I didn't miss any questions. So my classes and Miss Stokes' classes are a day behind Miss Aguirre's classes. So Miss Aguirre's classes have the test tomorrow. Mine and Miss Stokes' classes have it Tuesday. So I'm sure you reviewed on Friday for the test in Miss Aguirre's class, but our classes are going to be reviewing tomorrow. So if for some reason you're not getting the answers that you need tonight because of what's going on with this, or that you just have so many questions you don't know where to start, then you'll have tomorrow. But you all should have completed the review, because at least in my classes, if you didn't complete the review, you're not eligible for a retake. So you better hope that you did well, because you're not allowed to do a retake if you didn't complete the review. Okay, can you explain the parts of cell theory? There's 3 parts to cell theory. All cells come from pre-existing cells. All living organisms are made up of at least one cell, and the cell is the smallest basic unit of life. So, in other words, cells don't just appear. That is the law of conservation of matter, so that matter cannot be created or destroyed. So all of the matter on the planet right now was here millions of years ago. And I've told my classes I'm not getting into a conversation about where it came from, you know, how it got there. That's not going there. But cells divide. Cells come from other cells. They don't just like appear. And then every living thing is made of at least one cell. And cells are the smallest unit. So when we talk about the levels of organization, you can go smaller than a cell and say atom, but we start with cell being the smallest. All right, are the questions going to be multiple choice? They're all multiple choice. You'll get your grade right away. What are you going to expect? You're going to expect what's on the review. There are no surprises. I assure you that your teachers don't sit around a table and say, oh, let's figure out a question they couldn't possibly answer so they could do poorly on the test. I promise you that doesn't happen. If it's on the review, it's on the test. But they're all multiple choice. They'll get scanned right away because if you get below an 80, you are going to be required to do some reteaching activities and then take the retake by Friday, because next week is midterms. And we don't want you dealing with that. Sorry. Oh. We don't want you dealing with a retake with midterms. So my suggestion is to write down questions that you have as you're going through the review. Like I said, there are only 18 questions, so you should have a pretty good feel for what's going to be on the test. It's the entire cell unit. So there's nothing that we're leaving out. There's no essay on the test. That's a question that just came through, because we want you to get your grade right away. So you're going to be bubbling, and then we'll scan it using Mastery Connect, and then you'll get your grade immediately. We'll just bloop, hold it up to the camera and give you your grade. So there's no essay. There will be on the midterm though. So student don't get the vacuole definition. So vacuole is a big bubble. It's like a big bubble of liquid in a cell. It's much bigger in a plant cell than it is in an animal cell. And it holds mostly water with some nutrition, some waste, not too much. That's the job of the lysosome. but it's mostly water. And the reason why it's much bigger in a plant cell is because it creates the support for the plant cell. So as the vacuole shrinks, the plant will wilt. And then you water your plant and your plant perks back up again. And the reason why it perks back up again is because the vacuoles are filling up with water. So that's the definition of a vacuole. How many chloroplasts in the average cell depends on the kind of plant it is. It is really nothing that you need to worry about how many. But you know they're only in plant cells. Chloroplasts are only in plant cells. Are they going to pass out scantrons? Not scantrons. It's the bubbles like we had from, sorry, I'm tired. The bubbles that we had like on Mastery Connect. So if you're somebody that needs assistance with that, just make sure that you let your teacher know. But yeah, there's 32 or 33 questions on the test. I could tell you because I made it. Let's see. Exam, there it is. Hang on. All right, so there's 36. What? 36 questions on the exam. 36 questions. Don't forget that one of the areas that you need to know is you're going to have to know the difference between an independent variable, a dependent variable, a control, and a constant. So you will need to look at an experiment, and the experiment will be described to you, and then you'll have to be able to identify what in there is the independent variable, dependent variable, control, and constant. So I noticed that a lot of students confused control and constant. So let me give you an example of an experiment. So let me look it up because there are a lot of fun ones that, hang on, give me a second. I'll just look in my files. Hang on. Don't go away. Come on. While I'm looking, there's a question here. Will we need to know ATP in actual form like the words? No, I told you didn't. ATP. Adenosine triphosphate, if you want to remember it, but no, that's why we call DNA DNA, because it's deoxyribonucleic acid, and that is a mouthful. So don't worry about that. How do lysosomes get waste? From a vacuole. Endoplasmic reticulum. So everything, all of the things that need to move around the cell move around by the endoplasmic reticulum. So that's how that happens. Let's see. I'm looking for, let me look up independent variable. Independent variable. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's my husband's phone. It's the funniest ringtone ever. All right, hang on. I just want to read to you a scenario. All right. No, that's not a good one. Hang on. I'm trying to read you just an easy one. SpongeBob. That's always a good one. Oh, that's long. Okay. So listen to the scenario and see if you can figure out which the questions are. SpongeBob Clean Pants. That's the name of it. Okay. SpongeBob noticed that his favorite pants were not as clean as they used to be. His friend Sandy told him he should try using Cleano detergent, a new brand of laundry soap she found at Sale Mart. SpongeBob made sure to wash one pair of pants in plain water and another pair in water with the Cleano detergent. After washing both pairs of pants a total of 3 times, the pants washed in the Cleano detergent did not appear to be any cleaner than the pants washed in the plain water. So basically, we need to look at this and identify what the independent variable is and what the dependent variable is. And then if there's a control, and then there are constants. So the definition of an independent variable is what is it that we, as the scientists, are changing in the experiment. So no, thank you. Dylan said he's heard this. So what are we changing? That's the independent variable. That's what we change. So in that scenario, you've got SpongeBob noticing his pants are really dirty. His friend Sandy says, try this Cleano detergent. So the independent variable, what are we changing here? Well, what we're changing is the type of detergent, right? So, or this Cleano detergent. So the independent variable is the Cleano detergent. Yes, Nathan, good one. Nathan just texted in the one of the constants. So, sorry, all of a sudden I'm getting a bunch of emails. So be patient, email people, because I'll get to your questions. So independent variable is the detergent, because that's what we have control over. The dependent variable is what will change as a result of the independent variable. So in this situation, what will change is how clean the pants are. That makes sense, right? So the pants, he wants to see how clean the pants are. So that's the dependent variable. The dependent variable depends on the independent variable. So then what is the control and what is the constant? So like I said, a lot of kids confused control and constant, all right? The control is the control group. Think of it like that, the control group. You have an experimental group and the control group. The experimental group gets the special treatment. It gets the independent variable, and the control group does not. Because you have to have something to compare it to. If SpongeBob just washed his pants in this Cleano detergent, but wasn't able to compare it to something just washed in plain water, how would he know his pants were cleaner? So the control in this situation are the pants washed in plain water. So the definition of the control group is the group that gets no special treatment or does not get the independent variable. Then the constant, think of the definition of constant. Constant is the same, okay? So the constant is what are those things that each group gets the same. So Nathan texted in, he said that the pants were a constant. Absolutely. You have to wash the same kind of pants. That's the same. Both of them, let's see, it was also added, they were both washed in water. Cleano detergent was added to one, but they were both washed in water, and they were both washed 3 times. So in this situation, the constants would be the water, that they were pants that were being washed, probably the same kind of pants, and they were both washed 3 times. So those would be the constants, all right? So independent variable is what we as scientists change. Dependent variable is what changes as a result of the independent variable, or what are we hoping will change? Because in this case, SpongeBob's pants didn't get any cleaner. So that didn't change. It's still the dependent variable, but it didn't change. Control is the group that gets no special treatment. It is the one that you compare to. You have to have a control. And then the constant, or what are those things that all the groups get that are the same? Because remember, you can only change one variable. You cannot change more than one variable because then you won't know why something was happening. I was just talking about that with my husband today, which sounds dorky, but it's true. He's been having these injections in his back because he has a lot of back pain. And the first time they gave him an injection, they gave it to him like lower in his back. And then tomorrow it's going to be higher on his back. And one of the things he asked him is, why can't you just give me both at the same time? But one of the reasons is because you won't know which is where the problem is. If they inject both places, they're not going to know which shot worked, the one that was higher, the one that was lower, because they were both injected at the same time. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm just checking another question. Okay, so Emma, that looks good, your equation. That looks right. Let's see. How quickly does photosynthesis happen? I would assume it depends on the plant and how much sunlight there is. It is very fast, but I don't know the exact timing. How do plants also use cellular respiration is a question. Well, they have some mitochondria, not nearly as many as they have chloroplasts. They have some mitochondria for that reason, because remember, what do plants need to go through photosynthesis? They need sunlight, and it isn't always sunny. So, or they could be in a closet for, I don't know why, if you were like maybe hiding a plant as a gift for someone, then your plant wouldn't be getting light. It's not going to die immediately. It will go through cellular respiration until it gets exposed to light again, and then it'll go through photosynthesis. Okay. How can I remember independent variable, control, and constant? Well, you've got to study it. The question is, how can I remember independent variable, dependent variable, control, and constant? Like I said, I think an independent variable is what we change. That's the one that you're just going to have to straight up remember, because there really isn't a hint within the name of it that tells you what it is. But a dependent variable depends on the independent variable. So that's how you can remember that. A control is, there's a control group. So that is what you compare everything to. And the constants are, what are those things that all of the groups get that are the same? And the word constant means same. So beyond that, Alexia, I think you're just going to have to study. What is a test going to have? Yeah, it's multiple choice, 36 questions. So I will be checking my email, not, constantly. Actually, my husband made a really yummy dinner, and it smells so good I want to go eat it. But if you have any questions that you just can't wait for tomorrow for me to answer, or to get answered, if you don't have me, if you have Miss Stokes or Miss Aguirre, I'm sorry, then email me. But I'm going to sign off, and good luck, everybody. Remember, you studying for this exam will save you studying next week, because sorry, my husband's watching the Giants game, and apparently he's not happy with the results. Because the exam that you're taking for a midterm is going to be a lot like this one, because the only thing we're going to be adding is science process skills, which is measurement and all that stuff. So you're welcome. Let's see, there's another one coming in. Yeah. So Dylan, movement, respiration, sensitivity, control, growth, reproduction, exertion, no, nutrition. So The characteristics of life are movement, respiration, sensitivity, control, or homeostasis. You need to know that control means homeostasis, which is control means it controls your internal environment regardless of what's going on the outside. So control means homeostasis. Growth, reproduction, excretion, not exertion. Okay, excretion means it gets rid of waste. And that doesn't have to be poop or pee, because when cellular respiration occurs, one of the waste products is carbon dioxide. That's excretion. And nutrition. That's right. How is photosynthesis and cellular respiration different? Photosynthesis makes energy for a plant cell. Cellular respiration makes energy for an animal cell. And I am going to, okay, so it says, can you go deep on the structure of the chloroplast? That is not necessary. You do not need to know the structure of the chloroplast. I know it was in the Bozeman science video, but you do not need to know that. You need to know that there's chlorophyll inside, and chlorophyll is what turns it green. But beyond that, you do not need to know the structure of the chloroplast. Yes, carrots conduct photosynthesis, but they aren't green. But their green leaves above ground do conduct photosynthesis, and that's how they get their energy. If you've looked at carrots in the ground, they have a huge green leaves that come up above the ground, and that's where they get their photosynthesis. And yes, stations are due at the start of class tomorrow. They're due tomorrow. I'm checking during class for completion, so it is due during class, not the end of the day. And thanks for the food information. Sure. Maybe I'll bring leftovers, and then you can see the yummy soup my husband made. So, again, feel free to ask questions. My classes, you don't have your test tomorrow, so make sure you write down any questions that you have, but there's only 18 questions on the review, so it shouldn't be that hard. And study and get some sleep, and I'll see you.